where are we in this book? Looks like it's a little low, man. Oh, man, fantastic. I'm glad you're doing fantastic, man. All right, thanks so much for joining us, guys, here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. I'm doing absolutely phenomenal. Thanks so much for asking. The fantastic Friday. And we're continuing along our journey in The Alchemist. It's The Alchemist is the book we're picking up on our midday mental break. It's a time where I just share with you some things that I use to help myself, to free myself. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of working for that boss. And so I had to do something different. And that's exactly what I did, man. It's time for the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Man, you know what time it is. Let me find my music here. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
Oh, the words from the pages change your world. Your world, it can change your heart. It can change your mind. It can change your life. Can change your world.
All right, my beautiful people, man. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator and CEO of ERGJ Enterprises and ERGJ Black Bazaar. Also, international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. It's a study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just believe that if you want to be wealthy, you should study wealthy people. Not only is it a book, but it's actually a club that you can join. You can be connect with other brothers and sisters, like-minded brothers and sisters who are serious about success. We have personal development sessions, business development sessions, financial literacy classes, also investment education. One to teach you about money, another to show you how to make more money, and then third to show you how to make your money work harder for you than you work for it. That's just what we do. Why? Because that's what billionaires do. So if you want to connect, you want to walk away from the crowd and get connected with people who are serious about helping you with your greatness, well, join the Black Billionaires Club today. Now, this is a part of it's really what I do just personally to be able to share with you guys, a strategy that I implemented when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. When I was in corporate America, before I became an entrepreneur, I was an employee, and I didn't like it. I didn't like being told when I could go to the bathroom or lunch or vacation, anything like that. So I wanted my freedom. But I realized that in order for me to fight for my own freedom, I had to do something that most people simply weren't willing to do. And I want you to understand this concept, that you must be willing to do what no one else is willing to do so you can live the life that no one else can afford to live. And so I'm just sharing with you something that I did. I would take my lunch break, and on my lunch, I get an hour. I spend 30 minutes eating, right, to replenish my body. But then I would spend another 30 minutes fueling or feeding my soul and my mind with great quality books. And this is one of the books that I read. It's called The Alchemist. It's all about, if you don't know anything about alchemy, it's all about the study of turning lead into gold. And so we're going to pick up here in the book, The Alchemist. It is where I'll kind of give you a brief overview of where we are. But Santiago, who was a shepherd, that was his profession. That was his job. But he had a dream of finding a treasure. And so the cool thing about that is that he had a job, probably like you and I have, or had. I had a job. You may have a job, but the job does not necessarily mean that that's your dream. You understand? Your job may not, it could be, but it may not necessarily be your dream. And maybe just like Santiago, you got a dream, and it's time for you to go find your treasure. And so he went. He met a couple key important people to help him to interpret his dream and also give him some direction. Everybody put in console direction. So he had a dream first, then he needed some direction, right? So he needed some direction, and guess what? He paid for that direction. And I'm telling you that what I found in our community is that too many of us are not willing to pay for direction. Now, the interesting thing about Santiago is that he was charged with giving up a tenth. He paid a tithe. He paid a percentage of all that he owned. First, he paid a percentage of what he didn't even own, which is his treasure, to the gypsy. And then he paid a tenth of what he already owned, his flock, to the king of Melchizedek, who in this representation would be God. So now he's on his journey to, and they told him to go to Egypt. He's on his way to Egypt, and he got robbed. And he learned from that. He met a crystal maker. He helped him to build his business, helped him to get more revenue. And he got blessed for that. Now he's on his way to Egypt in the desert, and he meets an alchemist in training, we'll call him. on his way. And so he's making a connection with this alchemist in training. And they're talking about personal legends. Everybody putting console personal legend. They're talking about personal legends. And what he realizes is that where we last left off is that everyone has his or her own way of learning things. This is important for us to take from it. Everyone has his or her own way of learning things. Now, I don't know about you, but that told me when I read that, I said, okay, well, that means that I have to be okay with the way in which you learn things. It's not going to be the same as me. It could be, but most likely it won't be. But I got to be okay with you learning things however it is or however long it is that you're going to learn it. All right, I got to be okay with that. I'm going to keep on my path. Hopefully you keep on yours. So we both realize our personal legends and we'll love life because of it. His way isn't the same as mine, nor mine is his, but we are both in search of our personal legends, and I respect him for that. And so as long as you are on your way, I respect you for that. Let's pick up where we left off at. The caravan began to travel day and night. The hooded Bedouins reappeared more and more frequently, and the camel driver, who had become a good friend of the boys, explained that the war between the tribes had already begun. The caravan would be very lucky to reach the oasis. The animals were exhausted, and the men talked among themselves less and less. The silence was the worst aspect of the night. When the men groaned, when the mere groan of a camel, which before had been nothing but the groan of a camel, now frightened everyone because it might signal a raid. The camel driver, though, seemed not to be very concerned with the threat of war. Now, notice this: the camel driver wasn't concerned with the threat of war. And I know you and I, we deal with the threat of war all the time, don't we, in our society? I may live in America. I'm not quite sure where you live, but we deal with the threat of war all the time. Matter of fact, I think there's something going on in Venezuela right now. It's the threat of war. Which says to me, again, let's come back to another question. Like, so the camel driver, this is the person that's leading the caravan. The passengers, let's just say, of this bus are afraid. The driver of this bus is not afraid. Are you a passenger or are you the driver? Great question to ask. I'm alive, said the boy, as they ate a bunch of dates one night with no fires and no moon. When I'm eating, that's all I think about. And if I'm on the march, I'll just concentrate on marching. If I have to fight, it will be just as good a day to die as any other. Because I don't live in either my past or my future, I'm interested only in the present. Everybody putting also the present. Because I don't live in the past and I don't live in the future, I'm interested only in the present. How many guys like to get to that space where when you're reading, you're reading? When you're marching, you'll concentrate on marching. When you're walking, you'll concentrate on walking. When you're working, you'll concentrate on working. Right? And then if you do have to fight, well, hey, you just have to fight. You'll be concentrated on the task at hand, on just being sometimes. He said, if you can concentrate always on the present. Everybody putting console concentrate. If you and I can concentrate always on the present. How many guys have a problem with that? I know for a while I did. It was like, man, I'm here, but I'm always thinking about the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. That's my mind. My mind always goes to the future, which is okay, I think. I think it's okay to think about the future and to plan for the future. I think it's okay to reminisce on the past and figure out what you learned. But man, what would it be like to always be in the present? After you've done all your planning, you did all your reminiscing, now you just living. You know where you've been, you have an idea where you're going, and now you're just going. Man, how beautiful and serene and peaceful that is for your mind to stay where you are at the moment. If you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happy man. You'll see that there's life in the desert, that there are stars in the heavens, and that tribesmen fight because they are part of the human race. Life will be a party for you, a grand festival, because life is the moment we're living right now. Life is the moment we are living right now. Life is the moment we are living right now. Life is the moment We're living right now. 2 nights later, as he was getting ready to bed down, the boy looked for the star they followed every night. He thought that her horizon was a bit lower than it had been because he seemed to see stars on the desert itself. It's the oasis, said the camel driver. Well, why don't we go there right now, the boy asked. Because we have to sleep. What's going on, Just J5G, Instagram, how are you? Thanks so much for joining. Well, why don't we go? Because we have to sleep. So the boy awoke as the sun rose. There in front of him, there were the small stars that had been there the night before. Was an endless row of date palms stretching across the entire desert. We've done it, said the Englishman, who had also awakened early. But the boy was quiet. He was at home with the silence of the desert, and he was content just to look at the trees. He still had a long way to go to reach the pyramids, and someday this morning would just be a memory. But this was the present moment. The party the camel driver had mentioned, and he wanted to live it as he did the lessons of his past and the dreams of his futures. This is the present moment. Man, how many guys are in a position in your life where you constantly find yourself in the presence of the moment? You're appreciating the now. You just slow down a bit when you get to this space. I think as you get older, you get here. You just like you know how old men and women, they just kind of stroll. They're never in a rush. It's like, I'm just enjoying my walk, baby. They've lived a life and now they just are living in the moment. So he said, but this was the present moment, the party the camel driver had mentioned. He wanted to live it as he did the lessons of his past and his dreams of the future. So your past, our past, provides us with history lessons. Everybody put in the comments on lesson. But where your feet are, I know that's right. Your past provides you with history lessons to learn from. And it's okay to look back in the past and to use it as a lesson to learn from. Your future is but a dream, something to strive for. So you got something to learn from your past, something to strive for, your future, your dreams. But man, but we really, at the end of the day, you only have now. You may never realize your dreams. And good Lord could call you today, tomorrow. Matter of fact, I was listening to a presentation. It was an Indian guy. And he said, the most important thing, what's the most important thing for you right now? And he was saying that we put value in a lot of things, but the most important thing for you right now is simply to breathe, to simply live. That is the most important. If you ain't breathing or living, you ain't thinking about the money don't matter. So he said, if you just take a moment every day, you wake up and to thank God that you're still here. Everybody put in comments, so I'm still here. That you're still here. Then what he said after that, once you realize you woke up, I'm still here. He said, big smile on your face. Put a big smile on your face. I'm still here. Then he said, an hour after that, you want to look at the clock and realize if God has been good to you, that you are still here. He said, an hour later, put a big smile on your face because you're still here, living. Everybody put throw some big smiles in the comments below. Put a big smile on your face, what he said. That's what I remember. Big smile. You're still here, big smile. You're still here. He said thousands of people didn't wake up this morning, but you're still here. Big smile on your face. Right? To be in the presence or the present moment. Now, although the vision of the date palms would someday be just a memory, right now it's significant shade, water, and a refuge from the war. Yesterday, the camel's groan signaled danger, and now a row of date palms could herald a miracle. The world speaks many languages, the boy thought. The times rush past, and so do the caravans, thought the alchemist, as he watched the hundreds of people and animals arriving at the oasis. People were shouting at the new arrivals. Dust obscured the desert sun, and the children of the oasis were bursting with excitement at the arrival of the strangers. The alchemist saw the tribal chiefs, greet the leader of the caravan, and converse with them at length. But none of that mattered to the alchemist. He had already seen many people come and go, and the desert remained as it was. He had seen kings and beggars walking in the desert sands. The dunes were changing constantly by the wind, yet these were the same sands he had known since he was a child. He always enjoyed seeing the happiness that the travelers experienced when, after weeks of yellow sand and blue sky, they first saw the green of the date palms. Maybe God created a desert so that man could appreciate the date trees, he thought. Maybe God created the desert so that people could appreciate the date trees. Now, again, let's talk about the desert. The desert represents the dry areas or moments in your life. The desert represents the journey from through something to get to success or to your treasure. The desert represents the quote unquote bad times of your life. The desert represents winter. The desert represents dryness. Maybe God allows quote unquote bad things to happen in your life so that you can appreciate the good things. Everybody put it down, so appreciate. And maybe once we appreciate the good things in life and we realize that God has set us up for the good stuff, we begin to appreciate the quote unquote bad stuff that happens in our life. Bad stuff being, I don't know, disappointment, bad stuff being, high expectations, bad stuff being, I don't know. What's something that's happened in your life that you once thought was bad, but now you appreciate and has made you better? I can tell you one thing, being broke. Oh man, I being broke was bad. Oh, it was bad. Poverty was bad. But you know what I learned when I was broke? I learned how to manage money when I was broke. I didn't learn how to manage money when I got money. I learned how to manage money when I didn't have any, because it took me learning how to manage money to help me get money and keep it. So now I appreciate the times when I didn't have much. I appreciate the times when I was broke, busted, and disgusted. I appreciate it when I was going through some tough financial times. I also appreciate the other side. Why? Because God set me up. Why? Because all things work together for my good. I've been called for a purpose, and I love me some God. How about you? How can you think of a time when you thought, man, this is bad? But then as God set you up for success, you look back and say, no, it wasn't bad. It's just a time that I went through, and I appreciate it now. Why don't you share with that? Share that with us in the comments below. You see, books like this help me to change the way that I think. And I changed my life. I consume this stuff. I said, man, if Will Smith said to read this book, if Oprah Winfrey said to read this book, well, gosh darn it, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna read the book. Does that make me different? Yes. Why? I don't know. I can tell you to read the book, but most people simply won't do it. That's the difference. That's the difference between success and failure. Some people do, some people don't, most people won't. That's the difference. Another thing my mentor told me, said, you know what, the really big thing is that getting this book for, I don't know, $16.99, a book that could change my life forever. To me, to invest $16, $17, let's say $20, right? Most people can afford $20 to do it, right? So if I can afford $20 to get a book like this to read, that tells me that it's easy for me to get this book. Would you agree? It's easy to get the book for most people. I mean, about 95% of people, it's easy for them to get this book, $20. Well, here's what my mentor said. He said, well, if it was easy to do, that's great, but it's also easy not to do. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. And most people simply choose the easy not to do part. To keep on going and keep on doing as I've been doing so I can keep on getting what I've been getting. That's the difference. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. I just chose when I was broke to invest my money wisely into little small investments like this that can help change me. And as I changed me, I took control and I changed my life. If I can do it, you can do it. He decided to concentrate on more practical matters. He knew that in the caravan there was a man to whom he was to teach some of his secrets. The omens, he had told him so. He didn't know the man yet, but his practiced eye would recognize him when he appeared. He hoped that it would be someone as capable as his previous apprentice. I don't know why these things have been transmitted by word of mouth, he thought. It wasn't exactly that they were secrets. God revealed his secrets easily to all his creatures. He had only one explanation for this fact. Things have to be transmitted this way because they were made up from the pure life. And this kind of life cannot be captured in pictures or words because people become fascinated with pictures and words and wind up forgetting the language of the world. Now, isn't that interesting? People become fascinated with pictures and words. People become fascinated with television and radio. People become fascinated with social media. People become fascinated with pictures and words, and they forget the language of the world. Wow. People become so fascinated that they forget the language of the world. People become fascinated with video games. They become fascinated with fashion. They become fascinated with drama. They become fascinated with dysfunction. They become fascinated with recklessness. They become fascinated. And they forget the language of the world. The boy couldn't believe what he was seeing. The oasis, rather than being just a well surrounded by a few palm trees, as he had seen once in a geography book, was much larger than many towns back in Spain. There were 300 wells, 50,000 date trees, and innumerable colored tents spread among them. It looks like 1,001 nights, said the Englishman, impatient to meet with the alchemist. They were surrounded by children, curious to look at the animals and people that were arriving. The men of the oasis wanted to know if they had seen any fighting. And the women competed with one another for access to the cloth and precious stones brought by the merchants. The silence of the desert was a distant dream. The travelers in the caravan were talking incessantly, laughing and shouting. And if they had emerged from the spiritual world and found themselves once again in the world of people, they were relieved and happy. They had been taking careful precautions in the desert, but the camel driver explained to the boy that oases were always considered to be neutral territories, because the majority of inhabitants were women and children. There were oases throughout the desert, but the tribesmen fought in the desert, leaving the oasis as places of refuge. So now think about that. In the middle of a dry land in the desert, God provides, everybody put in console, God provides places of refuge. Now for you and I, this place of refuge, hopefully, it's our home. Your sanctuary. For some, it may be church or wherever it is you go. Right now, I want you to think about a place of refuge for you. Where do you go for safety, security, peace? Where do you go? What's your place of refuge? Put that in the comments below. With some difficulty, the leaders of the caravan brought all his people together and gave them his instructions. The group was to remain there at the oasis until the conflict between the tribes was over. Since they were visitors, they would have to share living space with those who lived there and would be given the best accommodations. That was the law of hospitality. Then he asked that everyone, including his own sentinels, hand over their arms to the men appointed by the tribal chieftains. Those are the rules of war, the leader explained. The oasis may not shelter armies or troops. To the boy's surprise, the Englishman took a chrome-plated revolver out of his bag and gave it to the men who were collecting the arms. Now, this scared me. I give up my gun? Oh, Lord. Why a revolver, he asked. It helped me to trust in people, said the Englishman. Meanwhile, the boy thought about his treasure. The closer he got to the realization of his dream, the more difficult things became. Hear that? The closer he got to victory, the closer he got to the realization of his dream, the more progress he made, the more difficult things became. I'm gonna start right there, because I believe many of us, we think that as we move along, things are going to get easier. You think, oh, okay, you made the first hurdle. You've been doing it for what, 3 weeks now? You think, oh, it's gonna get, no. As you make progress, things become more difficult. Now, here's the wonderful thing about that, because as you make progress, it tells me that you're also getting stronger. Right? If you start training and start working out, things might get a little difficult, but you're stronger on day 10 than you were on day 1. So, of course, you need a little bit more difficulty so that you can get stronger past that difficulty. I want to read this again. The closer he got to the realization of his dream, the more difficult things became. Now, that just sounds funny when you think about it. Like, I'm almost at the finish line. It should be getting easier. No. The more difficult things became. That just tells us we got to push until the end. We have to push until the end. This is New Black Wall Street Book Club, our midday mental break here on a Friday. Looks like we don't have as much participation on Friday. I don't know. Should we keep doing this on Friday? Probably so. We're just going to keep doing it because that's what we're going to do. But at any rate, for those that are watching and joining us here today, go ahead in the comments below. Let us know, what is your takeaway from today? What did you learn? What seed has been planted into you? Was this worth your time, and why? The Alchemist. I'm telling you, we're almost done with this book, by the way. Look at this. We've been reading for just a couple weeks, and we're down to the very, we got probably another, let's see how many pages we got left. We just been taking it day by day. How do you eat an apple? 1 bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. We got about 100 pages left. Not bad. Probably about 2 weeks to read, and we'll be done. We'll move on to our next book. I guess I'm going to have to tell you guys the next book soon. What are we going to read next? All right, it's going to be a good question. What are we going to read next? Anyway, man, this is ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises and ERGJ Black Bazaar, international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. I invite you to join the club. You're tired of trying to do this by yourself, because guess what? If you could do it by yourself, it'll already be done. Then join the club of achievers. Join the club of people who are serious about success, serious about winning, and they're serious about helping others to win as well. We understand that if I help you accomplish all of your dreams, I'll accomplish all of mine. Simply go to theblackbillionairesclub.com, theblackbillionairesclub.com. Hey, guys, I want you to remember this, man, that it takes a village, and it starts with us. Let's build each other up as we climb together. We all we got. But guess what? That's enough. Man, you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back tomorrow with the New Black Wall Street Book Club at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Until next week, we'll pick back up on The Alchemist next Monday. Until that time, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.